Hello, YouTube, and people who watch my channel, I guess. Anyway, what's going on? This isn't so much about, say, fountain pens. It's just about what's going on Prince Edward Island today. Oh boy, we have a major hurricane coming straight at us. Hurricane Fiona, which caused so much destruction in Puerto Rico. Um, it's hard to imagine what's going on in Puerto Rico right now with the situation where massive flooding and all your power out and the water contaminated. And anyway, the storm is coming straight at us. Even if it swings to the east, which at first they were forecasting it would, even if it swings to the east, it's so big, it's going to hit us in some form. And so everybody on PEI is sort of, we're used to storms here. But we usually get them in the late fall or the like winter storms. Anybody who hasn't experienced a winter blizzard or storm, they're impressive winter storms, but they're also in some ways not as bad as a storm at this time of year. Winter, the foliage on our trees are gone, the ground is frozen, high winds, you get a lot of blowing snow and cold weather, and trees do come down, but it's not as dangerous as it is at this time of the year, where at the moment, it's the leaves on the trees are still green, heavy foliage, large trees in Charlottetown and on Prince Edward Island. In the winter, when the ground is frozen, it sort of anchors the trees, and there's no foliage, so the wind just blows through, and you might get some branches coming down, or if there's freezing rain, you will get trees coming down. But it's not as dangerous as it is right now with extremely heavy rains forecast, hurricane force winds, and this is going to sort of be if I understand this correctly, this is also sort of a slow moving storm, so it's going to be with us for better part of starting on this evening into early Sunday. So everybody's a little scared. Actually, everybody's scared. What happens is the ground becomes so saturated with rain, heavy foliage, and big trees start coming down in the high hurricane winds. We're talking about oaks and birch trees and poplar and all sorts of things, elms. It's been a while since, and they're saying this storm is going to be, once again, it seems like every time we get a storm, it's like a once in a century storm or a once in a lifetime storm. It's become so common to hear that term. It's like, well, yeah, okay. The last big hurricane we had on PEI, well, we've had hurricanes, Dorian, but the last really big one that caused a significant amount of damage would be Hurricane Juan, which hit in 2003, and it was in October. Oddly enough, Jane and I were in Oxford at the time, Oxford, England, and we woke up. We were staying with some friends, and there was a provincial election going on at the time, and we wanted to see the results. So we went online, or early internet, I guess, and went to the local CBC website to see how the election results turned out. And the first picture that came up was a picture of the Charlottetown harbor with all the boats sunk, like all the, sailboats on the bottom of the harbor. You could just see masts and bows and stuff stuck up. And then we got scrolling through, and you could just see trees, entire parks, like Connaught Square, and is a park in Charlottetown. They lost, 100-year-old trees, massive trees. They just came down. And luckily our house wasn't damaged, but the power was out for quite a while. And we were in England, and our brother-in-law was staying here. And the house made it through okay, and there wasn't any damage. But there were trees down all around our neighborhood, and when the trees start coming down, they take everything down with them. So power lines come down, poles come down, and we get flooding. This storm is calling for high record-breaking storm surges by the sound of it. And on the North Shore of Prince Edward Island, that's going to be quite the sight, and quite dangerous. Like, we get massive waves, and when a storm surge of over a meter, the coastline is going to get flooded and damaged. And an ironic thing that's been going on in PEI lately, in the last number of years, is people building rather massive mansions on the North Shore. Like, I think they come, I don't know who builds these things. You see them almost in the dunes, and they're vacation homes and things like that. And you just look at it and you go, oh boy, you're going to be surprised someday. And sadly, I think a lot of people are going to get a big wake-up call this weekend, because there might be sand dunes between you and your home, but there's a reason we tended to build a little bit inland on PEI in the older days, up rivers, and there were properties on the coast, but you stayed away from the dunes. You stayed away from the marshes. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of these dunes are going to get breached, and there's going to be a lot of water coming inland. And sadly, there's going to be communities flooded, and people are going to be in trouble, I think. And the biggest worry is, in some ways, is that because we're on an island, and we have the Confederation Bridge, of course, is the main artery into PEI, but on high winds, trucks can't come across it. And so, and there's not a lot of, even though we're an agricultural province, supposedly, there's not much more than, say, 3 days food on Prince Edward Island in many cases. Grocery stores will be they'll be closed, actually, because there won't be any power. But if they are open, the shelves will be bare very quickly on Prince Edward Island. So it'll be an interesting couple of weeks. And that's just what's going on. So, but at the same time, I also know that it won't be as bad as what happened to Puerto Rico. I mean, that island is still rebuilding from all the other hurricanes that have hit it. And anyway, your heart kind of goes out. My heart goes out to the population of Puerto Rico. It'll be bad here, but it won't be as bad there as it was there. So anyway, but hopefully nobody gets hurt on PEI. Everybody's at the, I just went out gassing up the car, getting some supplies in, and the stores are busy and people are getting prepared. We're pretty good at getting prepared on PEI, but once again, we're more used to storms in the winter, and even though a winter blizzard can have winds as powerful as a hurricane, and they are dangerous. And biggest problem is snow. It just piles up, and then you just have to spend a couple days shoveling. Whereas with rain, it's going to saturate the soil, and there is going to be flooding, and people's houses are going to get flooded, and basements are going to be flooded. And if power goes off, there won't be much you can do if the water comes. So anyway, best thing you can do is just get ready and hope for the best. So if I'm offline for a few days, it's probably because I have no power. I do have a video scheduled for Sunday. I just automatically schedule it. I might do another one and schedule it. I'll put this up today, this video, but just letting you know what's going on. And maybe during the storm, if it's safe, I'll do a little video or something just showing what's happening. The other thing that has happened is we like to, on PEI, we have this thing where we talk about the storm being talked down, where the weather forecasts seem really bad, and it's almost like the weather forecasters get excited with a storm, and then when the storm arrives, it's not much happening. That happens because our location, we're in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The Bay of Fundy is to the south of us. We're kind of cradled, so Nova Scotia sometimes deflects the weather. The weather will go off east, but if it comes straight up the Bay of Fundy, well, there's nowhere it's going to go straight over us like a truck. But who knows? But I have a feeling this one's going to hit us, and it'll be impressive. Best thing to do is stay indoors, of course. Sadly, Prince Edward Island, because it has rampant runaway inflation, it's a tourist economy, and Airbnb has driven up rental prices, and people have been evicted from their home, like their apartments or their homes, because of Airbnbs and things like that. This is a little controversial, but there's a lot of homeless people now in Prince Edward Island because they can't afford rent. So hopefully they're getting into the city is finding shelters for these people so that they're not out in tents in the middle of this. It's going to be frightening. So there are emergency shelters being set up, so get people into secure places, because if you're outside in a storm like this, there's going to be a lot of live wires around. If the trees start bringing down power lines, there's going to be a lot of branches flying around. There's going to be a lot of stuff flying around. So the safest thing to be is indoors. So yeah, we won't be stepping out too much. There are a lot of big trees around us. You go around Charlottetown, one of the things that people comment on, they go around Prince Edward Island, one of the things people comment on are the big green trees and the foliage and stuff, which is beautiful, and it actually is helpful when it's hot outside, because it keeps everything cooler. But a situation like this, they become quite dangerous. So if you're driving in a car and a tree falls on you, the car is not going to protect you very much. So anyway, this is going to be an interesting weekend. Hopefully everyone's safe. Hopefully it isn't as bad as they're forecasting. Hopefully, if we lose power, it's just for a short period. Hopefully, there's so many things to hope for. But anyway, that's just what's going on. It's worrying. And I'll, we'll get through it. You just sort of have to. So what we've been doing is, bringing in canned goods and getting ready. And I went around the yard and I brought in all the lawn furniture and took down the gazebo and put our bikes in the basement. And I'll get the sump pump ready. And of course, unfortunately, the sump pump isn't going to be much help if the power is off. But one thing I will be doing, I say I shouldn't go outside, but I probably will run outside a couple times during the storm to clear away some of the storm drains on the street. There's a couple in front of our house. There's a couple at the end of the street. So yeah, a lot of leaves will be clogging those up. And when they clog up, the water will start rising. So I'll be keeping a close eye on the one, particularly in the front of the house, because it gathers a lot of water, and water can build up pretty quickly. We're in what they call a flood zone in PEI, Charlottetown, and well, all of Charlottetown, I would say, is a flood zone. It's it all depends on where the wind blows and how the tide comes. So, and if things get blocked or plugged, you'll see water piling up pretty quickly. And they're talking about a lot of rain. So it's going to be crazy. So that's what's going on. Anyway, I hope everybody is safe. I hope that we're safe. It's very stressful today. You're just sort of realizing you can do so much, and then there's stuff you can't do. So we've gotten pretty much everything already. I'll go to the basement later and pick things up off the floor as best as possible. We've been pretty lucky, actually. We don't get a lot of water in our basement anymore. But who knows? If the water starts coming, won't be much we can do. But cross our fingers, right? Make sure all the windows are closed. And, do a run around the house and things like that. But anyway, I hope you all have a good weekend. I'm going to have an interesting weekend. And I'll see you as soon as I can. Anyway, there is a video I have scheduled for Sunday, but in the meantime, why don't you watch some of my older videos? Help me out here. Go back to the earlier ones and just watch some videos. Trick the algorithm of YouTube into thinking I'm taking off or something like that. Just I'm kind of being facetious. Anyway, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you're worried about Fiona, if you experienced Fiona, let me know how you did. I hope you do well. I hope you're doing well, and I hope if you're waiting for this to come, I hope you're getting everything ready, and I hope you're going to be okay. And I'll talk to you soon. So, good luck. Bye-bye.